It may not feel like it, but your Chiefs have won 9 straight AFC West championships, and this one was just a little bit more interesting. We're going to tell you why on Locked On Chiefs Live.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back in, everyone. We hope that you're doing well. We're brought to you by PrizePicks. Right now, you can get into the action there with our code LOCKEDONNFL, all lowercase, over at prizepicks.com/LOCKEDONNFL. You can win $50 instantly for betting $5. Great time to get over there and get in the action and to join us live. We appreciate it. Matt Derrick is staying late for us from Arrowhead to give us the insight so that we know what's going on. We're going to run it all down for you. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, NFL33.com, where I cover the whole league and RGR football. Chris runs KC Chiefs Corner, where you can get all the detailed information on quarterbacks, stats, cap, everything you need to know there. Matt does everything everywhere all the time at ChiefsDigest.com and Chiefs Digest here on the YouTube platform. He's our man on the inside, the editor-in-chief and beat reporter who has the access. We thank you for joining us. Make sure you like, sub, hit the bell. Get us on the audio platforms because we're free for you all the time. And that's even in addition to you every day or listen every single day. And we love you. We appreciate you. You can get on that text line at 816-357-8781. You're going to get standouts and you're going to get some game balls. That's coming up later in the show. There are lessons to take away from this that are going to have to be addressed. A lot of them have to do with a MASH unit, and that's perfectly fine. We're going to get to those coming up. But we need to celebrate what is a very unique way, Matt, to win the AFC West, one that I don't think this team has done before. A doink kick that goes in is not something I had on my bingo card for tonight. Chiefs played, I thought, in some ways a little bit more gritty tonight, and in some ways, tied their feet together on purpose. And it just comes down to another 2-point win that I wasn't sure was going to happen. How confident were you going in? And what did you think when that kick went up?
I mean, how can you not laugh after this game watching that kick? I mean, I'm all out. I mean, no, I did not have this on my bingo card either. I made it pretty clear that the two things I had on my bingo card for tonight was the Chiefs either winning with a pick 2 or that the Chiefs had enough injuries at corner that they were going to sign a golden retriever to play at corner, and Dave Merritt was going to get this guy to get 6 goals. Gus, the retriever, was going to get 6 pass breakups tonight. That's what's going to happen the next couple of weeks. So we know that because this team is going to continue to win games like this. It is absolutely insane, and I can't explain it. But I can tell you, just walking around, the concourse downstairs and outside the locker room, I mean, you couldn't just walk around there, just run into somebody and just start laughing, because how can this team continue to win games like this?
I don't know how they can keep doing it, but Doink is all I can really think about watching this game. Matt Wright just comes back in, and I'll be honest, I mean, you go back to the first kick of the game, it didn't look like he was going to make it then. Like the first kick, I thought he was going to hook, and then come back and doink it off the upright to win the game from what should just be a gimme kick. Kansas City's playing on the right side in some of these games, and it's very big that they continue to win. There's going to be a lot of questions as to how they can continue going down this path. But the big thing that you look forward right now, they win their 9th straight division. They're in a position where they're now a game and a half up on Buffalo. And if they win 3 out of the next 4 games, they are the number 1 seed and will be playing at home with the first round bye, which is a huge thing for this team. They absolutely need that first round bye. And let's not forget, they may end up getting a 2-game lead on Buffalo because Buffalo will be playing against the Detroit Lions this next week. So this is a big win. I mean, everything that happened to Kansas City this weekend really plays to their favor.
Yeah, I mean, their magic number right now is essentially 3. I mean, they need some combination of 3 wins, losses. I mean, as far as, eliminating Buffalo, 3 Buffalo losses, 3 Kansas City wins, some combination thereof. Same with the Steelers. So, I mean, they could absolutely clinch the number 1 seed in the next 3 games by just winning out. So they've got that going for them. But they could even clinch even earlier if they get some help. That's the crazy thing about this. So I mean, the options there. I mean, and they've left it on the table. I mean, that Buffalo loss today was huge, and now the Buffalo schedule doesn't look as favorable as it did, because even though they got some considerably games down the road, that Lions game is not going to be one of them. But at the same time, you look at this Chiefs game, and was anything really resolved or solved tonight? I mean, this team still had many of the same problems that have been afflicting it the last few weeks. And, we're fortunate that the Chargers were not full strength. I mean, if the Chargers had led McConkey, Chargers may very well win this game tonight. I mean, that was close enough. McConkey would have been a difference maker, I think, as well as I don't know if Justin Herbert can play any better than he did tonight. He made some absolutely insane, incredible throws to keep this team in this game. So I give a lot of credit to him, but I mean, the Chiefs, this was not their best effort. I mean, the offensive line, I mean, this was not just a DJ Humphries problem tonight. This was a problem across the entire line. I mean, they're run the ball much. They did well, I thought, in run blocking, but pass protection was abysmal. I think, was it 14 hits that Mahomes took tonight?
Yeah.
You just can't survive that.
Yeah, and
get him hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we don't know, and Matt, you were, it looks like Andy Reid didn't talk about injuries. So we have no idea about DJ Humphries right now. We have no idea if he'll be available next week. And the bigger problem that Kansas City is going to be facing is they're going to have 3 games in 10 days starting this next Sunday. They play the Browns this Sunday, then they play the Texans after that on Saturday, and then they turn around and they play on Christmas. So that's a brutal schedule. 3 games in 10 days when you haven't had a bye since week 6 is horrible. Now, the nice thing is they will get a little bit of a mini bye, and that's going to be helpful, but it's still a brutal schedule at this point.
And at least the one thing they have going for them in that 3-game sequence is that everybody's going to be on the same schedule. So they're not going to be at a rest disadvantage at any sort in that stretch. So that's at least one thing that they have going for them. Everybody's going to be kind of in the same disadvantage, but you still have to think that despite what the Raiders did on Christmas Day at Arrowhead last year, playing on the road on Christmas Day against a good team like the Steelers is still a disadvantage.
It has to be. And you can only stack so many of those up. This is a game that they were able to pull out yet again from another mystery or rabbit in the hat. That can't continue. There are things that they have to fix. The tackle's only one question mark here. As you said, Matt, there's also another significant one on the other side of the ball. When we get back, we're going to dig into what they have to learn from this, how they go forward, and if they can go forward in a direction that will actually help them. That's coming up next. Our sponsor, Hillsdale College, is offering more than 40 free, and that's right, free online courses right now, including Introduction to Free Market Economics. You can check out some history with the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, and even check out The Great American Story, A Land of Hope. All of Hillsdale's courses are self-paced, so you can start whenever you want, you can tune in whenever you want, and you can finish whenever you want. You can go deeper with readings and quizzes and discussions, or just sit back and enjoy the lectures. Go over to hillsdale.edu/lockedon to enroll. There's no cost. It's easy to get started. It's at hillsdale.edu/lockedon to register. hillsdale.edu/lockedon. Today's show is absolutely sponsored by PrizePicks. If you love watching this game or any game the Chiefs play down to the wire, you're going to love PrizePicks. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Whether it's football, basketball, or any other sport, PrizePicks makes your holidays even bigger and brighter. Here's what you need to get into to check it out. You win 200 times your money with PrizePicks. Plus, this holiday season, they're giving away $30 million in rewards in their pick'ems, just simply for doing that. Plus, they're offering 2 free picks in December. When your pick hits, PrizePicks makes it easy to cash out and get all your money back in as fast as 15 minutes. This week, I was probably going to put Patrick Mahomes over 250 yards. If you want to do that next week, I think it's probably a good option. Go check that out next. Download the PrizePicks app today and use our code LOCKEDONNFL. You're going to get $50 instantly for your first $5 lineup. That's right. You get $50 instantly just when you play $5 at PrizePicks. Run your game. There's a lot to take away. And obviously, without injury status, there's pressures, evidently, according to NGS, Matt. DJ Humphries gave us some pressure. That shouldn't be a headline, not in my book anyway. I will say it did look a little bit rough. There was communication issues on the offensive line, particularly with him and Joe Thuney early. But I did feel, much as Andy Reid kind of said in his presser, that it did smooth out late there. In the middle 2 quarters, I thought were going pretty well. Then he comes up with what looks like a hamstring. We don't even know that for certain at this point. But that goes back to a bigger question for me. He had to make the adjustment. Obviously, he was rusty, but he looked markedly better than what we've seen from the tackle position so far this season. And now another soft tissue injury makes me think that he was rushed back a little bit too quickly. What do they do from here for you to make the best step forward against what is an elite pass rusher next week in Myles Garrett?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, for sure. And the offensive line struggled across the board. I mean, hey, DJ Humphries was not the only person giving up some pressures tonight. I mean, everybody did. If you want to look at the glass half full, I mean, at least DJ Humphries wasn't giving up some of the fast pressures and the fast hits, the fast backs that left tackle position has been yielding. At the same time, I mean, like you mentioned, Ryan, and then the next gen stats, you know, he gave up 8 pressures and 40 protection snaps. 20% pressure rate, not good. So that's bad. But to your point, she's kept him in there. I mean, that was because they wanted to win this game. Felt like he gave them the best chance, even though I don't think that either the Chiefs or Jerry Humphries will admit this. He wasn't ready, and that's perfectly understandable. This guy has had one padded practice since having an ACL injury and since arriving in town 2 weeks ago. I think it was an absolutely yeoman's job to just even play on behalf of DJ Humphries and be willing to go out there and do this. Probably a lot of guys who might have even just said, wait a minute, I'm not ready yet. I need more time. I think that would have been reasonable. And you certainly hope that, you know, he wasn't rushed out there too quickly, didn't get a chance to get settled in, and now has a hamstring injury that's going to be significant. I mean, once again, if you want to look at glass half full, he did not go back to the locker room. He went over to the medical exam table, had a quick look-see, and then remained on the sideline. So he didn't go back to the locker room or anything of that nature. Didn't get to talk to him afterwards, but maybe it's going to be better than we think, and he's going to be able to stay out there. Hey, in the few snaps that Wanya Morris had, looked good. I mean, you know, there's probably an advantage of being able to come in, even if you're cold, that at least you got that adrenaline and you don't have 50 or 60 snaps under your belt going in there. So that maybe that helped out Wanya at the end of the game. Question is, where do you go next week if you don't have DJ Humphries? Do you go back to Wanya Morris? I mean, that would probably be the guy that's at the top of the list. Is that your option? Is it Tooney? Is it Ethan Driscoll? Is it True Godric? I don't know. I mean, if DJ Humphries can't go next week, I really don't know where the Chiefs go with this. Wanya Morris, I think, would be the safe bet, but I don't know that he's necessarily the guy.
You know, the big question to me is just what we talked about, just as, the last segment, 3 games in 10 days. I mean, you're in a situation where even if he can go, he's going to be pushed to the full limit to try to play that many games in that amount of time. Maybe giving him this week off and trying to see if he can be ready for the game against the Texans is maybe something that would make a little bit more sense. But the reality is you're in a situation right now where you have to play and you have to try to win as many games as you can, because you absolutely need the bye at the end of the year. And that is what they have to play for right now. And that's huge. And you talked about it earlier, Matt. If they win out the next 3 games, if they find a way to beat the Browns this coming week, and they find a way to beat the Steelers, and then they find a way to beat the Texans, it's the Browns and the Texans and the Steelers, then they're in a situation where they could not play their starters in the last game of the season and have basically 2 weeks rest. Now, that's not a great situation either, but this team is tired. They need rest. They need recuperation. As far as when it comes to who's going to play left tackle and what they're going to do, I have to wonder if they look at it and they look at what they did tonight and say, okay, maybe we just go to a quick passing game against the Browns. Maybe they just go to a situation where you're running no huddle most of the game. It's not ideal. It's not what you want to do. It's not the best offense, but it gets the ball out, and Mahomes cannot continue to take the hits that he took tonight, and that's one way to get it done.
I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, he took some quick hits tonight. They weren't all from DJ Humphries' side. Some of them just came straight up the middle. But Some of them, I'm not going to put them on Mahomes because the protection was, look at what the pocket that Justin Herbert had tonight. Justin Herbert had all day in the world to throw. If Patrick Mahomes had the pocket that Justin Herbert had tonight, would have probably thrown 450. I mean, that was a thing of beauty. But Mahomes isn't getting that right now. I mean, this line just is having some problems. I mean, obviously they got some weak links, but it's coming together and working as a unit right now. So that's a problem. But once again, we saw tonight when Mahomes throws on schedule, this offense moves. And I made this comment on social media, and then I in the press box on that touchdown to DeAndre Hopkins, I was doing the play-by-play. I just said, okay, Mahomes drops, and I said throw at the exact same moment that he threw, and hits DeAndre Hopkins for the touchdown. If Mahomes just takes the ball, hits his drop, and makes the decision then and gets rid of the football, good things happen. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is the guy that he is because he can make incredible throws. He can make incredible decisions. He doesn't have to take 5 seconds, and he doesn't have to scramble around, and he doesn't have to wait in a perfect pocket to throw a 50-yard bomb. This team, over the years, has moved the ball very effectively, and they've done it this year in the 13-play, 75 yards, 7.5-minute drive. It's not pretty. It's not sexy. It's not exciting. It's winning football. And I've had this metaphor before. I'm going to do it again. If the Chiefs offense just goes out and eats its vegetables against the Cleveland Browns next week, they can win with that strategy. They don't have to be taking deep shots downfield. They don't need to be, pushing the ball 20 yards downfield. If Mahomes just gets the ball and gets it out on time, there are receivers open. But too often, I think that again tonight and throughout the season, he's sometimes given up the short, easy gain for trying to push it for something bigger. And that's when right now, this offensive line can't give him time to do that. And if he just accepts that, this team can move the football, but it just requires him to be making the quick, easy decisions and getting rid of the football. And I know that's against his base instincts. And I know that, a lot of fans are going to say, no, we don't want to restrain Patrick Mahomes. We want him to be who he is. Well, my answer would be, do you want to win football games, or do you just want to come down and, kick a game winner every single week to try to pull it out of the fire?
That's the problem, is they're too used to the fire. There isn't enough that is scary about it any longer, except for the fact that they've lost a couple of other guys. We'll get more injury information for you folks, and we'll talk more about it tomorrow. Matt will be back on the show on Wednesday. But there are some guys who stood out on the positive side. We're going to talk about them, give out some game balls coming up next. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers, you can bet just $5 and you get $150 back in bonus bets if you win right now. FanDuel Sportsbook, the app, gives you everything that you need to get bets in place for the NFL all in one place. So when you got a hunch in the middle of the game, you want to check out the latest stats, you live by that play-by-play, you can do that and much more in the same page right where you place your bets. Visit FanDuel.com today and join. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, America's #1 and official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Make sure you check out ChiefsDigest.com, where Matt does his best work, and Chiefs Digest here on the YouTube platform. KC Chiefs Corner, where you get Chris's content in a different format, especially about the quarterbacks and the cap and everything that you need to know. You can find me on RGR Football and NFL 33. Yes, there are written words there. Don't be scared. It's going to be all right. But thank you for making sure that you join us. Check out another Locked On show for your next one. Matt, you did mention about if you had protection, he could have thrown for 450. I take a look at the overall tonight, and as close as the game was, this team ran for just 2 yards more than the Chargers ran for. Both teams needed to run the ball, and that was nearly identical. The Chargers passed, or Herbert in particular, passed for 3 yards more than Patrick Mahomes. It was that close. This was kind of a mirror all the way down, and it does make that, I think, more pressure on the little things that stood out. One that stood out to me was Trent McDuffie. The only 2 PBUs in this game for the Kansas City Chiefs. One of them was on the blitz where he got a batted ball. That was not enough, in my opinion, to make up for the lack of pass rush, with Turk Wharton having some nice cleanup plays in particular. But George Karlaftis is the only other person that got a hit on the Giant quarterback that lives in Los Angeles. Overall, I think the lesson for me is that both of those things are not helping each other enough, and they have to find a way to dial it up. I'm baffled by the Uche inactive status tonight. What do you make of how this team can actually try to give itself a little bit of a lift on the defensive side?
Yeah, I mean, with Joshua Uche and the inactive, I mean, it's a numbers thing. I mean, and, last week, I think he had 1 snap. And that was my expectation that he wasn't going to play tonight, because you just look at the numbers and, they were obviously going to be probably 1 over on the offensive line. Where do you go? I mean, you go with the guy who only had 1 snap last week. And if they're not willing to put Joshua Uche out there on 3rd down, which is he's there to be as a 3rd down edge rusher, and they're going to go with Charles Omenihu, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, Chris Jones on the edge on 3rd downs, then there's no reason to have Joshua Uche active. I mean, that's his one job. So whether it's just that they don't feel like that he's giving them what they need, I don't know. But there was very little pass rush tonight, and especially with Ford. Turk Wharton took advantage at least of a couple of opportunities. But that was, the pocket that Justin Herbert had tonight. I mean, hey, if you're the Chargers, you're saying that's incredible work. If you're the Chiefs, you're saying that's an indictment on that defensive line, because it just did not get anything done tonight. And honestly, I mean, even with blitzes, you had a couple of effective ones. Nick Bolton got a sack on a big one, but other than that, I mean, I can't really say that any of the blitzing really stood out tonight, and they didn't blitz that much. At least I didn't feel like it was as much as the normal level, and it's understandable, because I think that if they had done that against Herbert would have just eaten him alive. So, I mean, you're right. I mean, this was a mirror image. This was 2 teams. If one team had just done anything more successfully, I mean, obviously Chargers won the line of scrimmage, but neither team could really truly effectively run the football. Had one team dominated that, they would have been fine. If one quarterback had really had a dominant performance, they would have won this game. It came down to one play at the end. And once again, I mean, the Chiefs at least made that play, but I mean, I don't know how long I can continue to do this, because I'll say, I mean, that was a tired locker room. And, and I have the post game of Travis Kelce up at Chiefs Digest on right now, if you want to go watch that. I mean, Travis Kelce was exhausted after this game, and he was not alone. I mean, there's a lot of guys who were exhausted after this. These wins are draining on this team.
Yeah, and that's a problem. And that goes back to what we talked about. They have to get the bye. They have to do everything they can to try to get the bye, because they're going to need the time off, especially with the next schedule they've got the next 3 weeks. The one thing that I will say, when you talk standouts, I'm going to say this guy stood out, and it wasn't in a good way. And I'm going to say Shamari Connor, they got to figure something out at the corner position. I know we talked about lessons to learn last segment, but I think that needs to be mentioned. They need to figure something out, because he cannot continue to be on the field and get targeted as much as he is. I think that's also part of what feeds into the pass rush, or the lack of pass rush, because the QB is getting rid of the ball so quickly, because if he's defending somebody in a one-on-one situation, they're throwing it to whoever he's defending. They have to figure something out there. You look at this game, though, and Kansas City couldn't protect Patrick Mahomes, and that is going to be obviously what you have to do in the playoffs, and what you have to do this coming week against the Browns to have a chance. Standout-wise, I can't even say the interior of the offensive line looked good. There was rushers coming on the inside of the offensive line that we don't normally see. They have a lot of things that they need to get figured out. They're going to have to figure out the protections and get DJ Humphries back if he's able to play. But this is a team that's, they're struggling in a lot of different areas, but they still find ways to win. I think that's really what stands out to me the most.
Well, they rotated 3 corners tonight, throughout the night. I mean, they didn't rotate them on purpose, but Josh Williams goes down.
Yep.
He looked fine in the locker room. We'll see if that injury is anything significant, but he at least looked like he was moving around okay, and it didn't seem to be any major issues. See, how significant that is. But Najee Johnson comes in for him, and then they yanked him and put in Keith Taylor. On Monday, they're going to have Nelson again for a visit, and that actually scares me, because, and this is no knock on Steve Nelson, but if you're bringing in a 31 guy hired in June and he's better than what you think you've got on your roster, that's scary. I mean, that's this team really putting some desperation there, because that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. On the positive side, there was performances, multiple out there, that earned game balls. Matt, who gets yours?
Well, Doink's notwithstanding, I mean, Matt provided the majority of the offense for this team tonight. 13 points with the extra point as well. Chiefs don't win this without right. I mean, it's the noted that no team in NFL history had more than one kicker make a game-winning kick with time expired on the clock. Chiefs now had 3 different kickers do that this year. It's crazy. But a perfect night for him. Like I said, doing notwithstanding. To me, I would have considered Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick I felt like was too hesitant at times tonight. He needed to, throughout this night, he needed to be the guy that was just going to say, okay, we're going to get the ball out on time, on schedule, quickly, and move the ball. And had he done that, he probably would have got my game ball. But Matt Wright, perfect, 13 points. He's my guy.
You talk about Mahomes getting the ball out. That exactly what he had to do to win the game at the very end. And I think it was a stat. What is he now? 26 and 26 when trailing in the fourth quarter is the highest by far in NFL history. It is absolutely ridiculous what he's able to do in the fourth quarter to win. But that specific play where he found Travis Kelce to set them up for the first down and get them to a point where they could kick the field goal, phenomenal. I agree with you. I don't think he deserves a game ball, but I think he had moments like he always does. When I look at this team, it's a question of who's going to get the pass rush. And I'm going to give an honorable mention to Chris Jones. Obviously, he didn't get home. He didn't get a sack. But he was the reason that people were able to get pressure. He was the reason that you have guys like Nick Bolton and Tershawn Wharton, who got 2 sacks, were able to get pressure. And I think that Jones has a huge impact on this defense, obviously. And I'm sure Andy Reid wasn't happy he took a timeout during the game. That was kind of funny to see, but it is what it is, and I think they'll live with it. But Tershawn Wharton's going to get my game ball. 2 sacks on the night, just huge, came up huge. I think just missed, I can't remember if it was Wharton or if it was somebody else that just missed getting another one. Herbert, I think they had Herbert in his grasp and just barely missed being able to bring him down. So good game from Wharton.
I will take it this route because there are too many guys that were borderline for me. A couple of standouts that I do think deserve some credit. Xavier Worthy's starting to do a little bit of the little things that are starting to make some differences. I felt like that comeback was a maturation in evidence. I felt like that little swing pass where he had to actually survive contact and make somebody miss and broke a tackle, that's an evolution that we need to concentrate on. So kudos to both of them. Noah Gray being where he's supposed to be, doing his thing. I like that. DeAndre Hopkins had a rough night, but he still came up obviously big. Those are all contributing factors to what ended up being a lackluster offensive performance. The guy that I felt stirred the drink opposite what was not a very good pass rush ends up being Trent McDuffie. At the end of the day, had a couple of struggles, had one where he nearly fell down, but the pass was behind the target, didn't end up hurting them. He's the only one who affected passes in terms of trying to knock them away. Obviously, no takeaways tonight. You have to get something done. And when you have one corner, you got to put him on your best guy. They prepared all week to defend Ladd McConkey. Then when he doesn't go, everything's thrown up in the air. I do question whether that is effective planning when you're putting it all on one person. But the guy who stood up in being able to adapt to that was Trent McDuffie. He gets my game ball tonight. We'd love to know what you guys think. Who stands out to you? Who gets your game ball? Put your comments down below in the comments here on YouTube. Make sure you head over and check out Matt on Chiefs Digest, as well as Chiefs Digest here on YouTube. Check out KC Chiefs Corner. And come by NFL 33 and RJF Football if you feel like it. It'll be a lot of fun this week because, hey, we get to just bask in the glow of another magic dodged bullet and wait till next week in the Cleveland Browns.
While everybody else melts down around the NFL that the Chiefs won another game.
Absolutely. It'll be glorious. Matt, thank you for staying late and giving us your insight.
I didn't get my honorable mention, so I'm just going to go ahead and now because punters are people too. Matt Araiza, 51.8 yards net. And just because I want to make Brian angry, but that 59-yard punt, by the way, dropped on the 2-yard line, probably should have been the 1. I think they got a bad spot there. That was one of the best kicks I've ever seen in person. I mean, that was just amazing. So,
and it's amazing.
Specialist tonight. And Justin Reed kicking off.
Yeah, it was amazing to watch Areza do what he's doing because he was struggling early in the year and he's coming into his own. I think that's a great sign for Kansas City. Obviously, you don't want to have him on the field very much, but he's been a lot better over the last couple of weeks. It's great to see.
And you will probably see more of Justin Reed, especially if the Chiefs are playing against teams who want to be aggressive on special teams. They want him out there as that extra defender. He made a tackle tonight. Finally, the Chiefs feel like he's healthy enough. He's felt like he's been healthy enough for a few weeks, and he's been trying to campaign to be the kicker. About now he's past that quad injury, so this is not going to be the last time you're probably going to see Justin Reed making kickoffs.
I'm strangely comfortable with it. That's going to work just fine, folks. Thank you for being with us, Matt. Thank you for staying up late. We very much appreciate it. We will talk to you later in the week, folks. Thank you for being with us. It's always fun around here, even when it's a nail biter. Make sure you like, sub, hit the bell. We'll be with you all week long. Matt will be back on Wednesday, and we'll get you ready for the next ball game. Have a good night, and we'll catch you next time.